Hello, everybody. This is Matt Higgins with the NyteTime podcast, NYTE. It's not your typical energy. This is episode 11, I think. I'm sorry it's a little late. I was sick last week, so I'm just now getting myself back together, so I figured I'd get this episode made. That way I can focus on this week's coming episode for Friday and Saturday. So, having said that, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I know there must have been some kind of flu going around. Tested negative for COVID. Had that once, don't want to have it again. It sucked ass. For those people who don't believe that COVID existed or wasn't that bad, COVID sucked ass. Especially when you're out of shape. My fat ass did not enjoy having COVID at all. But anyway, let's get right into it. Biggest thing that's been coming across the news is the border, the immigration issue, the illegal aliens coming into our country and supposedly ruining it. Just to touch on that briefly, the immigrants, illegal or legal, aren't ruining the country. We have done that ourselves. Americans have ruined this country all on our own. Nobody else really has a hand in it. You couldn't convince me otherwise. White people are more to blame for what's fucked up in America than any other race. So, people want to blame minorities, Mexicans and blacks, for crime rates, and I constantly think to myself, how many prisons have how many white people in them, Americans, natural born, that are fuck ups, that have broke the law, some of them repeatedly, habitually, have made it a career. Okay, so we can't sit in judgment from some self-righteous position when we're talking about the minorities in this country. It's not fair, and it's not even logical. Plenty of American rapists, plenty of American drug dealers, plenty of American drug users. Not everybody that comes across the border is a piece of shit. So I think we need to have some kind of epiphany, some self-realization as a country as a whole. We're not as great as we think we are. Yes, are we better than most other countries? Probably. But I've said this before. Sometimes just being good enough isn't good enough. We're supposed to be this perfect idealization of what a country should be and what a democracy should be, and we continue to fail to live up to the expectations we hold for everybody else. I don't know how else to explain to people that when they say if you don't like it here, move somewhere else, and my answer to that is always that's your answer, because shit's broken, but it's still better than someplace else. We don't want to do anything to fix it to make it even better. That's a pretty lazy fucking mentality. But that ties into the mass delusion that Republicans have that Americans are lazy. And by and large, they're not. But they treat their voters and the population as a whole as a bunch of lazy fucks, because everything they do, every decision they make, every criticism they spout off is based off of this preconceived notion that any help we give anybody will be automatically abused by everybody, which is why they fucking hate social programs. They hate welfare. They hate Social Security. They hate Medicare. They hate Medicaid. They hate anything that helps, because their argument is always, well, people haven't earned it, or you're creating a welfare state or a nanny state. And when the numbers tell you that most people who use those programs, they need it and they're using it for the time that they need it. A lot of them get on it until they need it and get off. Hell, when I was growing up, my family had to use it. They used it for as long as they needed it until, my dad got back on his feet and from one job to the next. And once he got settled and everything was working right, we didn't need it anymore and we didn't use it. And I think that's the majority of the cases in the United States. To say that we don't want to use any program to help people because at some point it's going to get abused, no situation, no program, no idea, nothing is perfect when humans are involved. There's always going to be that chance that some people are going to take advantage of something. Okay, you can't punish 99 people by not giving them the help they need because one person is going to take advantage of it and abuse it. You got to get out of that mentality. That's the Republican mindset, which is like set in concrete, and I just think that's wrong. And then they want to say that the immigrants, the illegal aliens, are the ones that are now the ones that are soaking up and abusing the system. Well, they kind of need it right now because they're coming from a place that sucks. And we're supposed to be the country that the whole world looks at and says, if any place is going to help me get on my feet and make something of myself, it's America. That's what we fucking are. I don't understand why, conservatives and Republicans will constantly posture about what the founding fathers wanted and what they would think and what they would say and what they would do and how they would act in today's times. And they seem to fail to realize that they created this country by coming from somewhere else. Now, did we steal this land? Yes. We didn't discover it. It wasn't brand new when we got here. People were already living here, and we took it by force, and we stole it from the indigenous people. That's a stain that will never get washed out. And everybody needs to accept that fact. Don't deny it. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Don't say, well, it's not our fault. That was our forefathers. That was back then. We can't do anything about it now. Don't minimize it. Don't deny it. Acknowledge it. Accept that we as a people are responsible for what we did. And then maybe you can talk to me from a position of some moral high ground on why you think people coming to this country is bad, legally or illegally. Because in my opinion, we get what we deserve. The universe usually finds ways to set things right one way or another. And now we as Americans are feeling probably what the Native Americans felt back in the day when we came flooding over here into their land, stealing all of their shit, and then committing genocide. So I don't think my view is unique on the border, but I'm not one of those people that says, well, we need to lock it up because it's immigrants that are destroying this country. This country was pretty great when we first got here, and we've done nothing but use it up. And when it's done, we won't have anything left. It's already turning to shit. We're mining it to the point that there won't be anything left. We're like a virus. We're like mold, you know. We're just consuming everything, leaving shit in our wake. And it's not the immigrants' fault. It's not illegal aliens' fault. Now, having said that, yes, there is a conversation that needs to be had, and they're having it in government, trying to get both sides to come together on how to deal with how many people are coming in at once. Yes, there needs to be a right way to do it. I still agree with that, even though we don't get to speak from a moral high ground, because we still don't fully acknowledge and accept the fact that we are on stolen land, and yet we are still making rules of who else can come in when nobody did that to us in the beginning. So we do need to beef up border security. We do need to beef up the amount of judges and lawyers and court officials and asylum centers to get these people processed, and that's the best way to do it. Not stranglehold the border and not let anybody through at all, but process them through properly. The reason they're flooding over and not going through the proper channels is because there's not enough proper channels. Okay? Take some of the defense budget, just take a quarter of it and invest that money in building places along the border that house judicial employees, get everybody trained, and start processing them properly and getting them through. It is a problem because I understand you don't want thousands of people coming over all at once and just spreading out, because it's not fair to the border states. Mexico, California, Texas and California, Arizona, the southern states down there, Texas especially, they get hit the hardest. And yet we don't give them enough resources to deal with it from a federal standpoint. This is where I believe government has failed us, because immigration has been an issue for fucking ever. It didn't just start under Biden. It didn't just start under Trump. It didn't start under Obama. It's been going on. I remember watching debates with Reagan and Bush about immigration, and I can tell you those Republicans were a hell of a lot more compassionate about immigrants and the border than today's Republicans are. Today's Republicans are fucking extremely psychotic, and there is no compassion there. None to be had. So I don't know why people in federal government haven't seen this and tried to deal with it in a meaningful way. there's been plenty of times where the sitting president has had both chambers of Congress on his side, and they still can't pass proper immigration reform. And now anything that's wrong with the country is only used as a tool to get elected. It's not nothing's ever done about it. They just want to talk about it and whine about it so that they can say, hey, elect me because I have all the answers. And then they get into government and then they don't do shit. They sit on their hands because then they need that issue to get reelected. Or they'll give you a completely different issue to make you forget about the one they got elected on the first time so that they can make you worry about this new issue that probably isn't an issue to get reelected. And nothing ever gets done. And it's just a vicious fucking cycle. The border is a serious issue that should have been resolved a long time ago. And they're trying to fix it now. The president said, hey, Congress, get your shit together. Give me a bill. He's been working with Democrats and Republicans. The Senate's going to pass a bill shortly. And the Republicans and the House have already said they're not going to fucking do anything with it. They're not even going to bring it up to a vote. Do you know why? Because nobody wants to solve the problem. They just want to be able to bitch about it. If it's that serious, the way they talk about it, then they should get a deal done. They should sign it, or at least put it up to a vote so that it forces people in Congress to make a decision and stand by it. And then you get elected on your fucking, your laurels and not just fear mongering. There's, as much as I love the idea of immigrants coming across the border and us getting what we deserve, it's not great. And especially not great for the immigrants because they're getting there and there's nothing there for them because there's so many of them. There are no resources left. And because nobody's dealing with it properly and getting Texas the help they need or any border state, I was okay with Abbott, Governor Abbott of Texas. And believe me, I have no respect for this piece of shit whatsoever. I was okay with him busing migrants everywhere else, as long as he wasn't lying about it. What I don't condone about that situation was lying to them about where they were going, what kind of help they were going to get. And that's what happened in the beginning. And that's what happened when DeSantis fucking got in on it. And he's in Florida, water on three sides of his state. He's not dealing with the problem Texas is. But he had to get in on it because he's a fucking pick-me. He's like he's ever the fucking teacher's pet. Whichever way the wind's blowing, he'll fucking morph into whatever he needs to suck up some votes and some popularity. When he started shipping people around, that I did not like that, especially when he was lying to them about where they were going. DeSantis was a piece of shit and he needed to stay out of it. But otherwise, if they say, look, we're going to send you to this place and you're going to be on your own, I don't have a problem with that as long as the immigrants know that's what's happening. Don't lie to them. Don't deceive them. Because if you tell them that, hey, we're going to send you here or there and you're going to have to rely on the help you get there, that's no different than what they just did to get into the United States to begin with. They're getting into Texas not knowing what's going to be there, who's going to help them, and what they're going to do. And by sending them to these other states, especially Democratic ones, because the Democrats need to get off their fucking ass and help do something about this too, it brought focus to the issue. I'm okay with that. I was all right, and I'm still all right with them shipping them everywhere else, because it shouldn't be a burden that Texas faces, and they damn sure shouldn't face it alone. Do I agree with all of the Republican governors sending their National Guard down to the border as a free-for-all on how to guard it? No, because the Supreme Court is already causing issues because they've said that Texas can't use the concertina razor wire in the rivers to discourage people from coming over illegally. And now you've got the federal agencies clashing with the state agencies because Abbott says, fuck it, I don't care what you said. He's telling the Supreme Court to take a hike. I don't care what you ruled. We're still going to do what we want to do. Now, if anybody has ever seen the movie The Second Civil War, I think it was made for HBO. It was made by HBO for HBO. It was an HBO movie. It came out in, I want to say, the late 80s, early 90s, probably early 90s. And it was about this very issue. It was about a governor, and I think it was in Idaho, and immigrants were coming into his state, and he went off the fucking deep end and decided to mobilize his National Guard and just shut the state off, the borders off, and then that caused a rift. With the federal government. It's a comedy, it's a satire, but it was really, really foreshadowing what is happening right now with Texas. It really hit at the heart, and they knew it back then that something like this might happen. And that movie is very, very relevant to what's happening right now. The Second Civil War. Yeah, I think it had Beau Bridges in it, Phil Hartman, James Coburn. It had a bunch of stars in it. So people should watch that and see how it ended up. Because at the end of that movie, something happened that could possibly happen now, which is a clash between federal and state agencies. Now, do I have a small glimmer of hope that our people would look at each other and say, yeah, we're both American, even though I'm a federal agent and you're a state agent, we're not going to shoot each other. We agree on that. I hope that would be the case, but fuck, I don't know anymore. I don't know, because things are so crazy and people have lost their fucking minds. They just have. And this is an issue that really could... This is an issue, actually, if people could think further than 5 minutes ahead of themselves. Why aren't we working with Mexico? They're our neighbor. Why aren't we working to better the situation down there as well? Why aren't we working together and fixing both of our problems together? And Canada could pitch in too. Like, why don't we help fix some of the problems? Like, why doesn't Mexico ask for our help? Why can't we work with Mexico and their military to help stop the drug cartels? Why can't there be a cooperative crossover? Why is it got to be so fucking isolationist? I don't. For this country to ever get to where it needs to be properly, we need to deflate our ego, take a few steps back and be humble, look at the rest of the world and say, you know what? We may have better opportunities than a lot of other countries, but we're by no means perfect, and we need to work together as a planet. Everybody should be helping everybody. It shouldn't just be every man for himself. If it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We make it that way. And it's sad. And I know that I'm getting off on the immigration border issue, but I have a lot of ideals, and I've had them since I was young, and I see that as a lot of people get older, they become Republicans. They become jaded and fucking cynical. And while I have those qualities, I still have compassion and empathy and sympathy and self-awareness. And I just wish more people had the same. You know, we could be so much better than we are. There's so many things we could do, and we just choose not to because they might be hard, or it might look like it might show weakness that we ask for help. Fuck that. Ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. Help each other out. Isn't that what the fucking some of the Bible teaches that you guys seem to live your lives by? That fairy tale? Isn't that what Christ taught? Help out your fellow man, love thy neighbor, treat people as though you would want to be treated, that kind of shit. No, fuck everybody. Stop coming to our country. You're poisoning. God, when Trump said we're illegal immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country, God damn. I cannot believe that somebody hasn't, I don't want to get raided by the fucking Secret Service, but there's a lot of shit that falls out of people's mouths that I can't believe there's no repercussions for. I just can't. So, yes, I think immigrants should be able to come into this country. And yes, I also think there needs to be a proper way to do it so that everybody's safe when it happens. Because yes, while 98% of the people coming across the border are doing it for honestly valid reasons, seeking asylum, trying to make lives better for themselves, there are going to be some bad people that come across the border too. There's no denying that. To say there's no criminals or no terrorists or no bad people coming across the border is naive at best, and we can't afford to be that anymore. So I hope at some point before the next election that the House Republicans pull their head out of their ass and get this deal signed so that we can get some kind of reform happening down there, because it's in the best interest of everybody. Americans and immigrants. So that's enough on the border for now. But it goes to a larger point that I think government is broken, and the only way it gets fixed is if government fixes itself. We need to stop electing psychos and fucking bad actors into these positions who don't want to do anything but get into power and stay there at all costs. Because we as a country, as citizens, we have become way too skittish, way too easily frightened. There are reasonable, adult, logical solutions to most of our problems, and we won't implement them for stupid reasons. Because Americans don't like change. They don't like being told what to do. We are so egotistical and arrogant. Quite frankly, we don't deserve a lot of the freedoms we have. That's my honest opinion. I know a lot of people will say I'm a bad person for that, or I'm un-American, or I should leave the country. No, I think the country should fix its fucking problems and stop settling. Stop setting the bar at good enough when we could be so much better. So enough on that. This Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing is really blowing my mind. And this goes to a larger point on how I also view Americans as stupid. Half of the population right now thinks Trump is a good person and a good leader. That should tell you something right there. And I think COVID, to be transparent, I thought Americans were stupid before COVID happened. Before COVID happened, before Trump got elected, I thought the country was stupid. But we lost our fucking minds after the black man got elected, and we elected Trump, and we deserve Trump. We deserve what we got, because while we knew, I think everybody in the back of our minds, that half the country was fucking insane and racist and ass backwards, Trump proved it. COVID proved it. People just fucking went off the deep end, and now they'll believe anything you tell them. The more insane it is, the more believable it is to them. And this whole thing that Taylor Swift is a fucking government plant, and that she and Kelsey are forcing big pharma on us, and they're going to support Biden, and the Democrats are using her to get votes. Is like, shut the fuck up. This woman is a celebrity. She's a billionaire. She makes really good music as far as I'm concerned. I don't listen to a lot of it, but she's had some banger songs. And I'm not voting for anybody based off of what she says or what she likes. Hell, she hasn't even endorsed anybody yet. She just said go out and vote. She just said get registered to vote and fucking participate in the election process. And Republicans lost their mind, because it's a hypocritical political party, the Republicans. If anybody supports Trump and comes out and endorses Trump, it's everybody just fucking gets a huge hard on and jacks off. It's great. But if somebody comes out against Trump or for Biden, you think the fucking world was coming to an end, because Satan himself was behind it all. You know what? If people are dumb enough to vote for Trump based off of what you tell them and not what they think in their own head, then your guys are no better than people that'll vote for Biden because Taylor Swift tells them to. If you're going to play the game, you got to play by the rules. Both sides get to play by the same rules. All right, you may not fucking like it, but don't you fucking dare threaten this woman for speaking her mind just because you don't like it. Shut the fuck up. Do you know how insane you people sound, and we have to hear it on a daily fucking basis? How insane you are, and we just have to accept it? Same thing with our side. You got to listen to our people, whether you like it or not. And she's probably going to endorse Biden at some point. And that's going to get him a lot of votes. And that's the way the game's played now. You, as Republicans, as conservatives, fostered this fucking environment of don't believe what you see, believe what we tell you. And you caused people you taught them not to think for themselves. Well, guess what? Now both sides are not thinking for themselves, and they're letting other people think for them. Congratulations. All right? You created this fucking monster. Now you got to deal with it. You're the ones that are anti-free education, free college. Why? Because people might be educated and think for themselves? Become capable of critical thinking? No, you want them to do what you want them to do based off of what you're telling them. It's no different than what progressive, liberal, democratic celebrities are going to do. Okay? So if you don't like it, stop treating your people like they're morons and start telling them the truth and start telling them to think for themselves. Stop making them afraid of shit. And don't get me wrong, both parties can play that game. They can both fearmonger. However, Republicans are fucking masters at it. They are tier S level masterminds at making people afraid of shit and getting them to think a certain way rather than just give them the facts and let them decide for themselves. They play the game much, much better than Democrats do. And I think it's because we still have this mindset that well, we're on the moral high ground. We're not that bad. We're not going to stoop to their level. Well, that's why Republicans win most of the elections, is because they'll play the game. They don't give a fuck. They want power. They know how to get it, and they're not afraid to. So I I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's fixable, to be honest. Because you don't. How do you come back from this? How do you come back from the divide in this country? How do you come back from, well, one side's full of Nazis and the other side's full of lizard pedophile people, right? Does one side say to the other, oops, I was wrong, I guess you guys weren't lizard pedophile elitists? And then the other side says, well, I guess you guys weren't Nazi racist scumbag pieces of shit. Do we really think that's going to happen? I don't think so. I think we're too far gone. We are in the last decades of the empire. But there are things we can do to minimize the angle of dissent that there are, if people are willing to make changes and shift their way of thinking. But it's got to be from a people first standpoint, not a power standpoint between the classes and between two sides of the argument. It can't just be my side is always right and your side is always wrong. And I just don't think we have the humility to fucking do it as a country. Not anymore. We might have had it in the past, but not now. So I don't know. I just don't know. I see more bad situations happening than good. And I don't know how to stem that tide. I don't know how to change the flow. My belief is that most people are like me. They're in the middle. They can see both sides of an argument, and they're capable of taking the good out of both sides and creating something better. But we don't have any money. We don't have any power. And it's weird because I think we are the largest group of people that are capable of thinking for ourselves and saying, yeah, I can see both sides of the argument and let's try to compromise. True centrists. I don't know how do we mobilize and say, look, I'm tired of having Republicans fearmonger us. I'm tired of Democrats fearmongering us, you know. I don't have an answer. I wish I did. I wish more people would come forward and say, yeah, you know what? We shouldn't ban abortion, but we shouldn't allow abortion at any time of the pregnancy. Why can't we do that? Why can't we compromise on that? Why can't we come to the realization that the death penalty is a good thing and that some people need to be removed from society? Why can't we agree on that? Why can't we agree that while your body, your choice is important, you also have to make sure you bring into that equation what's best for the population as well as a society? Why can't we agree on vaccines? That didn't used to be an issue. Everybody got them so that we didn't get all these horrible fucking diseases that we used to have. That was called progress. And now it's like we're de-evolving. I don't know. I hate to be doom and gloom all the time, but fuck. We need some wins. We need some wins as a society. We need some wins as a people. We need some wins as Americans. And, you know, I think it's going to take a major disaster, a major fucking disaster to bring us together. And that's sad. In the country that's supposed to have everything and have every opportunity, we just fail to live up to our ideals and the expectations that we set for ourselves. That's bullshit. And it's sad. So, I mean, like I said, these are my opinions and my thoughts. It doesn't fucking make me right or wrong. I just want people to know that there's more than two ways to look at things. Don't just look at it from a Republican side. Don't just look at it from a Democratic side. Look at it from a people side, a society side, a country as a whole side. Look at it from that angle. Take a fucking step back. Step out of the bubble that you're in. Please? Pretty please with fucking sugar on it? Can people try that? And stop believing every horseshit conspiracy theory comes across your goddamn brain? Another thing that, I was thinking about recently, on YouTube, I've noticed a trend of people creating a podcast or spending their almost their entire time on their podcast shitting on other podcasts and other people. And while free country, do what you want. If your product is good, it'll bear fruit. If not, it'll probably end up like mine and be obscure and nobody will ever listen to it. That's the way it is. But I'm like, there's this one podcast cringe or some shit like that. He made a bunch of videos about how shitty Bert Kreischer is. Bert Kreischer is. He's a comedian, funny as fuck. He's a funny dude. No, I don't know him personally. I probably never will. They say not to meet your heroes. I mean, he's not my hero, but I do regard him highly as a comedian and a celebrity. But I don't base my life on him. But I know how popular he is. I know he makes a shitload of money. I know a lot of people think he's funny, and yet this guy is somehow trying to convince people that Bert Kreischer's on the downhill slide and he's not relevant and people don't like him and he's, even though the guy admits that he's selling out, arenas, shit like that. I don't understand why people try to take an opinion that they have, which is demonstrably, provably false, and still try to convince people of it. It's like, I know he's popular. I know his fan base. The reasons I think he's funny are probably the same reasons most people think he's funny. He's a goofball. He's not always self-aware. He makes a lot of mistakes. He tends to not own up to his mistakes a lot until it's thrown in his face, which makes the comedy great. And the dynamic between him and Tom Segura on like Two Bears, One Cave, that podcast, it's great. He's funny. It's entertaining. And the people that grew up with his career, that watched it and followed it from the beginning, know their style of humor and understand it and don't take offense to anything that's happened now that they've become wildly popular. And to tell people, to try to make people believe that this guy sucks because he somehow changed and he's not the man of the people anymore, and he can't relate to poor people now, and he somehow changed. Well, yeah, money changes you. It changes how you have to change how you think, how you act, how you feel, because money creates not only good, but it creates bad as well. There's a lot of shit that comes into your life that you don't need or don't want. But in order to have that power, that fame, that wealth, it's not easy, and it doesn't come without strings attached. So yeah, their views may change on a few things. It doesn't mean they've changed as a core person. It may change how they deal with other people, and the way they do that, those people can decide whether or not they want to deal with these entertainers or not. But I don't take it personally that their views have changed. If I won the lottery, I I fully understand that my life would be completely upside down. Friends would become enemies. Enemies might become friends, or enemies may become worse enemies. And your whole viewpoint and how your outlook has to change. It has to. You would be stupid not to adapt to the change in your situation and in your life. And I don't get people who are on my level or just above my level trying to bring down people that are on a fucking plateau. Like, what purpose does that serve? I don't get it. I don't get it. It just made me wonder. I watched a couple of the videos and I'm like, yeah, podcast cringe. That's the name of your podcast. But I think it's lost on you that it's your podcast is cringy by trying to tear down everybody else and tell everybody, yeah, these people suck and here's why. These people suck and here's why. Anything you tell me is not going to make me think that Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, or Joe Rogan are any less funny. They might be assholes in person. I'll never know it, and I don't care. Their job is to be funny. They make money off of being funny. And if they make me laugh, I'm going to laugh. I'm not going to let somebody tell me what's funny and what's not. Are you fucking kidding me? That's like listening to a movie critic. Who listens to fucking movie critics? Well, I didn't like this, and here's why, so you shouldn't go see it. Get the fuck out of here. Do you know how... I would say the ratio of good to bad movies, like, I think it's 90-10. 90% of the time that a movie critic dumps on a movie, I end up enjoying it. It's because I think for myself. And to make other people feel like they're not enlightened or somehow not on a level of education or taste because they like something you don't, or they don't like something you do. Who the fuck lets people dictate their lives like that? Do you do that in anything else? No. I don't get it. So I'm not going to let anybody tell me who's funny and who's not. Like, I think Bill Cosby is still one of the funniest fuckers that ever lived. And I can also accept that he's a rapist. Allegedly. Louis C.K. I fucking love Louis C.K. Did he have some personal issues, some problems that he should have had dealt with? Yes. But most funny people have some fucking trauma and some shit wrong with them. That's where art comes from. It doesn't come from normal, well-adjusted people. It comes from pain, dysfunction. Did what Louis C.K. do was it good or bad? Yeah, it was bad. Did he acknowledge it? Yeah. Did he pay for it for a certain amount of time? Yeah. Did he do anything illegal? Was he charged with anything? No. But he had to take a hit to his career. I'm able to separate the art from the artist. And he's one of the funniest fuckers that have ever lived. So, if you're going to, like I said, people are going to do what they want to do. People aren't going to listen to me on this podcast probably. And I'm just doing this more for me. And if it picks up popularity, great. Maybe, good things will happen. But this is more like therapy for me and getting shit off my chest. And these are my opinions, but I'm not going to spend my podcast telling people why other people suck and why they shouldn't listen to them or see them or participate in anything with them. I'll tell you my viewpoint on something. I'll state facts, but you got to decide. It's your life. You got to live it. You can agree with me or disagree with me. Like I said, I'm not always right. And when I'm wrong, I can admit it. And I'm wrong all the fucking time. I make mistakes, and I admit to them. So I think a little more of that, a little more humility is what is needed. You know? I hope I'm not wrong about this. Fuck. What else? I know I've been rambling. Hopefully, the more of these podcasts I do, the more polished I'll become, and I'll be able to stay on subject. But right now, it's just stream of consciousness. What else? The fucking war in the Middle East is still going on. Israel's still trying to wipe Palestinians off the map. You can think what you want and say what you want, but the facts are, they're killing fucking way more civilians than they are Hamas militants. Nobody's arguing that. Israel isn't even arguing that, but they don't care. And I would have more respect for Israel at this point if they would just come out and say, yeah, we got attacked and we're going to overreact and we're just going to wipe Palestine off the map. Just fucking own up to it. Why not own up to it? What are you afraid of at this point? Everybody sees what you're doing. Everybody sees what you're doing. You'll bomb a fucking a civilian UN shelter if you have to, that has thousands of innocent people in it, to get one or two militants. So just say we don't care. Own up to it. Tell Netanyahu to come on TV and say, you know what? Fuck the planet. Fuck the rest of the world. We're going to do what we want to do the way we want to do it. And that means if we have to kill every Palestinian civilian, so if we have to kill 2 million people to get these 30,000, we're going to fucking do it. Fuck everybody. If you don't like it, tough shit. I would have more respect for them if they did that instead of trying to fucking play this two sides of the coin thing that they're trying to do. Well, we're just trying to protect ourselves. Well, at what point, let's say somebody attacks you on the street, they're unarmed, but they start attacking you, and you've got a knife. You stab them a couple times, and they stop attacking you. But then you go on and stab them 40 or 50 more times. So at what point in those 40 to 50 stabs does it stop being self-defense? Right? Is that's probably the simplest way I can put that. I've seen on documentaries court cases where somebody's accused of stabbing somebody 120 times and they called it self-defense. No, it's not. There's a reason why it's illegal to shoot somebody running away from you. Because it's not self-defense at that point. It's murder. And that's what Israel is doing to Palestinians. They're murdering them. You got attacked, lost 1,400 people, lost some hostages, and now you've killed almost 30,000 people. A vast majority civilians. You don't fucking care. It's not self-defense anymore. It's just not. It's murder. So own up to it. Just tell everybody to fuck off. We're going to murder everybody we want to until we feel safe. At least I'll have respect for you. I won't agree with your methods, but if you take the position of war is war, and if they didn't want this response, they shouldn't have attacked us to begin with, say that. Tell me that. Tell the world that. And then I will say, okay, at least you're fucking owning what you're doing. Don't lie about it. Don't pretend you're doing the right thing. Just one man's opinion. I'm not all right in the head either. So, And at the end of this podcast, there was a lady I used to work with. Her name was Deb Stewart, and she was a really good worker, and I really liked her. And her daughter's husband passed away about a year or so ago, and it caused a lot of problems in her life, obviously, but it really hurt her. It hurt her daughter to the core. Her name was Jennifer Stewart. And then I found out a few days ago that Jennifer has passed away. Now, I don't know the circumstances yet. I haven't figured it out. But I just want to say that I am sorry for her loss. I didn't know her personally, but we did talk on Facebook from time to time. And I tried the best I could to let her know that I was always there to talk, because I am a great listener, and I always want to help people, and I always want to be available for people to talk to when they need it, because I know how important that is. Because I spent most of my life not talking to people, just listening, and I never dealt with my own problems. And I think, well, I don't know for sure, but Jennifer really took her husband's loss hard. And while you hear the sentiment of people dying from a broken heart, I think that's partially true. And people need to know that they can talk to their friends. They can reach out. And if you have to be that person that somebody needs to talk to, be that person. Don't shirk your duty as a friend, as a fellow citizen, as a person with some dignity and self-respect. When people reach out to you, reach back. I haven't always been the best friend, and I realize that, and I'm trying every day to be a better person. And it kills me to think that maybe this person died and didn't get the help that they needed because I wasn't available. So, my thoughts are with Jennifer Stewart, her family. Let's just try to be better people. Let's end on something positive. Let's just try to be better people. Let's try to come together, at least for a little bit, on some things, anything. Try to find some common ground and be decent to each other. This has been Matt Higgins with the NyteTime podcast. Peace, love, and gossip. Everybody have a great week. Episode 12 will be coming Friday or Saturday. But thanks for listening. I appreciate your time.